Hello YouTube, it's been a while. Back with another one of Eric's projects. Well, I went to the dark side and did a 12-volt conversion on the car. So we're going to look over that today of what it takes to do the 12-volt conversion, what you need to buy, what you don't need to buy, and how it needs to be hooked up. Now, for some that may not know, this is a 1952 Chevy Styleline, 216 inline 6. It was all original 6-volt when I got it. Been driving it that way for quite a while and decided to convert to 12 volts. I had messed with the voltage regulator several times, and I'm pretty busy and like to drive this car a lot, so I decided I didn't want to do that anymore. And I'd also heard the lights are much brighter on 12 volt, so I wanted to see if that was any difference also. So let's take a look at what it takes to switch from 6 volt to 12 volt on a 52 Chevy. Okay, there it is. Under the hood, the heart of the 12 volt is an alternator. Standard Chevy 10SI alternator. I asked the parts counter guy for an alternator for a 1980 Chevrolet truck with a 350 in it. 63 amp alternator, which is more than enough for these cars unless you're adding lots of accessories, compressors for airbags, large stereos, anything like that. You may want something a little bigger. But anyway, your standard 10SI alternator is what goes right on these. Now the brackets, you're going to need an upper bracket, and you're going to need a lower bracket that bolts on where your generator was, and that allows the alternator to be bolted in place. Everywhere you look, these things are going to be $60 to $70. Seems like a lot for two little brackets, but you know, what are you going to do? You need them. I got mine from Bowtie Bits, and they were, I think it was about $57 for them. Seemed to take a little while for them to get here on shipping, but probably because I was excited and anxious for them. But anyway, they did show up, and everything did go on just fine. This 10SI alternator for this 1980 Chevy ran me $44.99 down at O'Reilly Auto Parts, so that's not too expensive either. And the belt, funny enough, excuse me, funny enough, the belt, the parts store didn't have it in the stock, and they wanted about $20, $21 for the belt. So I swung into Ace Hardware and picked up a 5/8 wide belt for an air compressor, 44 inches long. It's a 5L44. Went right on there, and it's working great. I've driven it in the rain. It doesn't slip. It works very, very well for $9. I'm happy. And if it fails, I'll buy another one. But it's been doing just great. Now, when you remove your generator, you're going to have your battery wire off your generator. That's the large one. And you're going to have your field terminal wire, which is the small one off the generator. As you can see, the field terminal wire doesn't do anything anymore. It is completely removed from the circuit. On this end, as well as, oh, there we are, as well as on this end. This is the other end of the field wire that went into the voltage regulator that is no longer on the cover, the access cover for the dash. This here is the battery wire. Oh, got some light there. This is both ends of the battery wire. One end comes from where it came off of the generator, and the other end was where it went out of the voltage regulator through your ammeter down to your starter to charge your battery. Those are just hooked together because it comes straight off the alternator, the battery large post on the alternator, and runs right through the circuit just like normal. All you're doing with this is just bypassing the voltage regulator. Now the other end of that large battery wire is right here. Oh my gosh, boy, is that ever loose. I should tighten that up. This is the other end of that battery wire coming off the battery terminal post on the back of the alternator. Now this wire here comes out of what's considered the number 2 spot on the alternator. That wraps right around straight to the battery post. This plug here you can buy, I bought mine at O'Reilly's, $2.99. Had the plug and bolt the wires on it. I put a ring terminal on it to hook up here, and I put a butt connector on it to hook up to a new wire, which I'll show you in just a moment, that goes inside the car to the ignition. Now, These are commonly called DA plugs, and they have a resistor in them. Now, the DA plug that you're going to buy with the resistor, it's about $20, $18 to $20 anywhere you shop. If you choose to make your own, get on Amazon, look for a 1 amp 50 volt diode. You can even go larger, 2 amp, 100 volt, 50 volt, whichever you like, but at least a 1 amp 50 volt diode. You can, this is a lot of them, but they're sold in a pack of 100 for $1.53, including shipping, prime shipping. So for $3 for the plug and $1.50 for the diode, you're in at $4.50 for a $20 plug. You're going to save some money there. And then you'll have 99 left over to sell to everybody else who's got these, and sell them for $1 a piece. Who cares? Whatever. Throw them away, build something cool out of them. Whatever you want to do. So let's look at the other end of this wire, because this is the wire that comes off of your alternator and runs inside to the ignition. Now let's look at where that goes on the ignition. Well, let's follow it up here. Following it. It's this. Boy, I've had this off a few times. This wire here that runs inside through the grommet, what used to be a grommet. Let's go inside and see where it goes. Okay, inside the car. See, I chose not to run a diode in my line. I ran a lamp instead. So if the battery or if the alternator is not charging, this lamp will come on and tell me it's not charging, instead of just not having any indication at all. This is kind of a large lamp. It's not a little dash light. This is an 1156 taillight socket that I had just laying around. This thing doesn't have to be grounded. It's just in series in the circuit. The light makes or breaks the connection. The wire from the outside is right here. Comes in. I got a butt connector going to the pigtail on the light. Doesn't matter what side you hook it up on the pigtail. The other side of the pigtail, let's see here, the other side of the pigtail. Oh, this might get to be an interesting video. Oh, where is it? It goes to the back of the ignition switch. I don't know why the light's not coming on the camera. Anyway, on the back of the ignition switch, there is 3 posts. One on the driver's side, one on the passenger side, and what I would call the middle. The middle has this large fuse holder, and that is where the other end of that light gets hooked up to. So it comes off of the alternator, runs into one side of the light, out of the other side of the light, to the ignition switch, to the center post on the back of the ignition switch. Now, I had it hooked up on the one side, and when you shut the key off, the car would not shut off. Moved it to the other side, shut the key off, the car would not shut off. Move it to the center, it works perfect. Shut the key off, car shuts off. When you turn the light on, see if you can see it. You can kind of see a reflection there. The alternator light comes on, start the car, the light goes off. Turn the key off, car shuts off. Just like it's supposed to. Perfect. Now let's go look at some more stuff that it needs for the 12 volt conversion. Now, things you're going to need. You're going to need to change every single light bulb inside and outside the car. Dash lights, dome lights, park lights, turn signals, headlights, spotlight bulb, clock light, glove box light. Every single light needs to be changed. Now let's look over what kind of bulbs that these need. Your headlights are a standard 7-inch round 6024 headlight. I run the halogen in here. I've had them from one of my old vehicles just sitting on the shelf. They work great. Now, before I did this conversion, I had read that the light output is different, that the headlights are brighter, you can see farther, the tail lights are brighter, and I thought, well, how much better could it be since the car was set up on 6 volts, the lights were 6 volts, the generator was putting out enough, and it was doing fine. I tell you, I am amazed. I am shocked at how much brighter the lights are running a 12 volt light, both headlights and tail lights and brake lights. I am truly surprised. I did not expect as good as they are. So your headlights are 6024s. I have an aftermarket turn signal here. 1950s/60s aftermarket turn signal. Auto lamp. Okay. Nice glass bulb. Really looks like a backup light off of some of the cars. Anyway, the light bulb in here is your standard 1156. You can buy off any auto parts store shelf, Amazon, eBay, whatever. Standard 1156 bulb. Goes right in. Oh, 1156 isn't cockeyed. Okay, 6024s, 1156. Park lights. Park lights, you undo the 3 Phillips screwdrivers out of the front housing. And there's 4 straight slot screws in the back of the housing. Okay. Now these are not your standard 1156 like a park light turn signal light bulb. What these are a number 97. Got kind of a large bulbous top here with a large base. Number 97 for your park light bulbs. Now all of these come in 2-packs at your auto parts store, wherever you buy them from. You could probably buy them in larger packs if you need to. Now, there's a cork gasket that goes on here. Mine has rotted away. They're about $3 a piece from National Chevy Association. I'm sure several other companies have them also. Just take note when you're taking it apart and putting it together of if you need new ones or not. This is why I need that cork gasket. Keeps moisture out of there and keeps that from rattling. So, 6024, 1156, 97. Same for both sides. Now my rear turn signals are the same. 1156s, just like the front. Taillights, we're running 1157. To get to your taillight bulbs, it's from the inside of the trunk. Brand new gas tank. Okay, here's your taillight socket. Pops right out. Takes an 1157 bulb. Pops right back in. Easy. Now for the dash lights and the clock light, maybe if you're a small-handed contortionist, you can get to them from under the dash. Not me. My sausage fingers ain't getting up there, twisting around. There's an access panel from the inside, right where the voltage regulator was, and that is how you get to the dash lights. This is your access panel for behind the dash. It gives you access to the wiring, the lights, the gauges, everything. Now, these are what's called a clutch head screw. Certainly not a common screw used anymore. Clutch head bits are available. You can order some off the internet. Some fasteners houses have them. Or sometimes you can use a flat blade screwdriver and cheat a little bit. Get it in there kind of crooked and cockeyed. There you go. I'm going to be heading down to the hardware store and get some Phillips screws and change these out to Phillips, just in case one day my flathead screwdriver doesn't work in it so well anymore. So, we'll continue taking off this panel here, 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 and here to get to the dash. Now, if yours is old and crusty like mine is, this grommet fell apart about the second time I did this, but this just comes right out. There you are. Back of your gauges, dashes, dash gauges, dash lights, fuel gauge. There's a resistor that's got to go in the fuel gauge too. There it is right there. Well, there's the wire for it. That resistor allows the gauge to read on 12 volts since it's designed for 6. So, the light bulbs. Here's your dash light bulb. This is for all of them. They're all the same. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then there's one for the ignition too. So there's 6. 6 dash light bulbs. Now, dash light bulbs are a number, I don't know if this will even focus. They're a number 57. Number 57 dash light bulb. Large glass ball on top of a smaller base. Single point. Let's see if I can get back in. Okay. Now, see that ceramic block here? That's the gas gauge resistor. To drop it from 12 volts to 6, so you don't burn your gas gauge up. So that's how you access those wires there. So, let's go inside and look at the clock light and the dome light. Clock takes a little bit of a different bulb here. We'll slip the clock out. It's all mechanical, no wires. And pull the bulb on that thing. Okay, here's the bulb for the clock. Bulb for the clock is a number. What number? 89. Number 89 on the clock bulb. I gotta get a good picture here. There it is. Kind of an R2-D2 looking thing. Pretty straight up. Long base. 89. On to the dome light. I've yet to switch my dome light bulb out. I hope I can get this out without breaking it. Choose to remove yours with a screwdriver. Just remember, these things are old and they will break. Just like mine is. But they're cheap. Oh my gosh. Oh. Well, it's not too bad, but that's on the list. What's in here? Oh my gosh. Is this really an 1156? Same as the taillight? It is. There's a taillight bulb. An 1156 for the dome light. Holy smokes. That's got to be bright. Let's go get one. Okay, 1156 taillight bulb. Oh my gosh, it actually works too. Look at that. How awesome is that? Broken cover back on. Okay, for whatever reason, my dome light decides with the door open or closed, it wants to always be on. Like the headlight switch is turned into the like the on position when you spin the knob to make the lights come on inside the car. So I'll have to figure that out before I stick that bulb back in there. Either way, it's 1156 park light bulb. Same thing that's in my turn signals and a standard today's parking light vehicles. Glove box light. Ta-da! Glove box light is a 1/8. Oh, can you see it? Glove box light is a 1895. Little guy there. And that just slips right in here behind the switch. Heater blower motor. Heater blower motor spins really, really fast on 12 volts. There is a replacement motor for these. I think you can buy some through the Chevy parts houses, National Chevy Association, Eckler's, things like this. But anyway, this motor, to be even more thrifty, I believe it's an 80s era CJ5 Jeep. There's a VDO part number on the internet, Rock Auto. But it's a 12 volt motor that fits into these housings. So CJ5 Jeep 12 volt motor to replace that one. Radio. Radio's kind of up to you. Now I've read you can run 2 resistors in series to make your radio work. I've opted just to pull the fuse on it. I don't have the resistors hooked up, so currently I do not have a radio. If you plan on putting an aftermarket radio in, no worries. But just be leery on the radio. A 12 volt radio to fit in these spots is around, last I saw was about $650, I think it was. Maybe not that much. Anyway, it seemed expensive. Very expensive for a radio, for a 12 volt radio. Cigarette lighter. Swap it out to a 12 volt one. That way it fits good, and you got a new one anyway for contact, and your 12 volt accessories will fit right in. No switches need to be changed. Headlight switch is perfect just the way it is. Ignition switch, perfect just the way it is. Turn signals. Heck, my turn signals even work with the key on. The light is super bright. Figure when it burns out, I'll put a 12 volt light bulb into the housing here, this little green light. Boy, the sun is really... So that needs to be swapped out for a 12 volt light bulb also. One more item. None of this is going to work without a 12 volt battery. Seems pretty obvious, but just don't forget. What I think might be a pretty trick is if you were to take a secondary battery tray and put it over here, then you could wire 2 6 volt batteries together to get 12 volt. It just look a little different, a little neat. Horns work on 12 volt. They are loud. They're twice as loud. They sound like a train, but they work, and they work good. Alright, also in the engine compartment, coil. You need to swap your coil out to a 12 volt coil. I went ahead and put some points in the distributor also for a 1956 Chevy 235 6-cylinder, just to make sure. I don't know if that's necessary or not. The original points that were in there when I first hooked up the coil burned up pretty quick, but after some more work I think I know why. Anyway, this is an Excel 8140 coil that I had laying around, so I installed it. It worked good. Went through a new set of points fairly quick, put in a second set of points. They lasted a few days, and they started acting up. Also, cars just missing, almost like a fuel issue, but it's ignition. This coil, the 8140, is not internally resisted, so it requires a ballast resistor. The ballast resistor, I mounted mine right down here. It is for like a 58 through 83 Chrysler product. They're about $6 down at the parts store, super cheap. And all you do is you take, this is your wire out of the wiring harness. This was the one that went directly to the positive side of the coil before. So you take it from, instead of going to the positive side of the coil, you run it to the ballast resistor. You come out of the ballast resistor with a new wire, and you run that one to the positive side of the coil. Now your car will start up through the ballast resistor. It reduces the voltage of the coil to make the points last. Drops down to, I believe, around 9 volts, 8-9 volts. Now, a lot of the reading I did on the internet said you also had to take another wire. See, this is where the battery cable comes in. Insulation there. This wire goes up to your push button start switch. This wire comes back from your push button start switch to the solenoid. When these two make contact, that's what turns your starter over. Now I read that you needed to put a wire from here straight up to the positive side of the coil. So on starting, it got a full 12 volts, and when you let go of the button, this wire went dead, and you were running off the one from the ballast resistor. Now I tried that. It did not work. It tried to fire only while it was cranking. Once I remove that wire, it runs great. I drive this car every single day. 30-degree weather, 60-degree weather, whatever it is right now. It works awesome. Starts up great every single time. So all you need is the one wire coming out of the ballast resistor to the positive side of the coil. Went ahead and did a tune-up at the same time. Cap, rotor, points, condenser. The points, let's look at the points. The points. There they are. There they are. Now the points. When you take your distributor, roll it around to one of the peaks. You have flat spots and peaks where it opens up the points. When it's on its peak of the peak, you'll adjust these points to 22 thousandths of an inch. I believe it calls for 18 to 26. I put mine at 22 thousandths. How you do that, this is your tightening screw that holds the points down to the distributor plate. This is your adjusting screw. You will loosen this screw up, turn this screw until your points open up or close till you get your 22 thousandths gap on your points. Once you get it, it will hold it in place. Tighten this screw back down. So this is like an eccentric screw. It's got the oval hole that it's going into. Once your points are adjusted, you're good to go. So that's it. That's your 12-volt conversion. You need a battery, coil, ballast resistor, new wire from the ballast resistor to the positive side of the coil, headlights, 6024s, turn signal lights, 1156, park lights, I'll have to look those up again. Your tail lights and brake lights are 1157s. The turn signal lights in the back are 1156s. Got all your dash lights, your clock light, your glove box light, and your dome light. That's a lot of different lights to buy. You can kind of nickel and dime you in several trips to the store. I'll try to get a list of all the numbers again in the description, so you can just take all those numbers down to the parts store or get on the internet or whatever and just order up all the bulbs you need. Now the last one I need to do is a spotlight bulb, and I have no idea what that one is yet. I need to look into that. Yeah, let's try it right now. spotlight's being kind of a bugger right now. And until I really know how to take that thing apart, I don't want to take it apart and chance breaking it. I really like that little accessory. So, in completion again, that's it. All your lights, alternator, forgot the alternator, 10SI alternator, 45 bucks on the part store, $3 plug. Put a light inline series with the number 1 terminal off of the plug to the center position on your ignition switch. If you choose to go the diode route without a light, get on Amazon, get a 1 amp 50 volt diode, $1.50 shipped to your door, $3 for a plug, much cheaper than a $20 plug. If you're in a hurry and don't want to make it yourself though, don't feel confident, absolutely get the plug or wire in a light. Generator is removed, voltage regulator is removed, battery terminal wires from the generator where it came out of the voltage regulator are hooked together. Field terminal wire is no longer used. And that's it. This thing is amazing. I am so impressed with the 12 volt conversion. The brightness of the lights, the smoothness of the ignition, just the way it runs. I'm shocked. I never expected to actually like it this much or see difference at all. If you choose to do it, this is a good way to do it. So, drive your cars, enjoy your cars, and God bless you. These things can go for a long time.